Hello everybody, this is Beepo16A and I'm going to be doing a review on the CRKT M16 here in the CRKT box. If you've already seen the unboxing video, you know what this knife comes with. And so let's go ahead and open it up. Excuse me if I sound a little bit stuffy. Allergies are going around real bad right now. And also my neck is a little bit awkward because last week I had surgery to get some tumors removed from my neck, so that could be a whole other video. So let's get on with the review. No time to waste. Let's go ahead and start this. So hopefully this is okay. This is an okay frame. I really just don't know how I want to be recording these videos. Let's go ahead and open it up. This is inside the box, but that's not important. We're going to do a review on the knife itself. So, first thing about this knife, it is one, a spear point style blade, spear style blade. Excuse me. Specifically, this is the M16 01KZ model, and there are several different models of the M16. This is just designates the blade style, finish, and whether or not it has aluminum or G10 scales. So let's go ahead and set this down for a second. Alright, so hopefully I fixed the camera issues. It's much easier to do now. I just have to reach around my camera. So this is the M16 spear style blade. It is not assisted opening, although it does feature the auto lock system, which is this, and that is an automatically engaging extra safety for the liner system, and I can go over how that works in a minute or two. First thing you should know, these are G10 handle scales, and they're non-textured, although they do have these milled out holes in them. That really doesn't add anything for grip, or to grip on while you're holding the knife, but it does, it might reduce weight, but it's G10, which is relatively light. It's not like they're shaving out metal or anything, but at the very least it's a cool design feature, or just cool aesthetically. The pocket clip I actually really like. It is not too loose, although it is rather thin, so although it's not too loose, it doesn't have very much purchase, but I feel secure with it in my pocket, and it is very positive taking it out. You get a real nice click and snap to it when you take it out of your pocket, which is a nice thing. At least I like it. To continue, I guess we can start with the fact that this is a flipper design knife. And what that means is these actually are not thumb studs. You can try to open it like these are thumb studs, but it's awkward. It's not ideal. It is a flipper style knife, which means you pull back on the flipper, which is located here on top, give it a nice thwack, and pushes it through and opens the blade. As you can see, the flipper is connected to the tang, and while you pull back on it, it's rotating around the pivot, and if you give it a hard enough flick, it'll open all the way and then lock with the liner lock. The liner lock is relatively thin. Alright, so this liner lock is actually really thin. It's probably, get the ruler out, about like 2 millimeters wide, or 2 or 3. It's really a thin liner lock, but I haven't had any issues with it, and because it has this auto lock safety, which is auto LAWKS, when I rotate this red piece here, it moves this little metal bar down directly to the side of the liner, so when this automatically engages, now it's unlocked, when you open the blade, it'll automatically engage auto locks, which means that that little piece of metal falls in between the open position of the knife with the liner, and it'll block that liner from coming off the back of the blade. So it just adds some security to the liner lock design, which I was always wary of. I wasn't really into liner locks, but this one operates well. There's jimping on the liner right there, and that really digs into your thumb and gives you a good purchase on the liner, although it will start to give you some nice thumb abrasions, which, you know, it's whatever, it's a knife, you can calm down. The pivot screw here is a flathead bit, but this has some really aggressive checkering on it, which means that I can literally take this and either tighten it with my thumb and loosen it with my thumb. Right now it's relatively loose. I noticed that when I first got the knife unoiled, I couldn't just flick it open with the flipper. I had to first oil it and then also loosen it a bit to get that one-handed opening down, because it would open like to here just by the flipper, and I really had to give it a good wrist action to open it all the way, which I don't anymore. Now this blade came out of the box probably the sharpest factory grind I've ever had. It is a hollow ground blade, which means that the grind does not start from, if it was a full flat ground, it would start from the very top of the blade and grind straight down. There'd be no angles halfway, but since this blade is ground halfway down, it's hollow ground, and it does have a nice swedge on the top of the blade, which basically it makes for a more acute point, which, let's focus on that point, camera, which basically just means that it makes a more acute point at the tip, and it increases your thrust cutting and puncturing abilities with the knife. And I know Nuttin Fancy did a review on this knife. He said that it wasn't, or maybe he didn't do a review, but he did a review on the other on a different knife, and he mentioned that the M16 was not in his Hall of Fame, and because of this blade style, he said that the blade style was not suited for EDC, and it was only suited for thrust cutting and stabbing, and I have not found that to be true. I've actually really enjoyed working with this blade design. It cuts well. It does have a little bit of belly for some deeper cutting, and then it has a nice flat ground blade down here for you know, just cutting straight lines, cutting through thin material. It works well, and like I said, it was well, not extremely sharp. It wasn't it wasn't shaving, it wasn't razor sharp, but it was sharp enough, sharper than any SOG I've gotten. Excuse me. And even though it was much cheaper, this knife runs MSRP, I think, a little bit, like $60, but I bought it from Big Five for $40. So yeah, and I have not touched it up. It is 8CR MOV, 8CR13 MOV steel, which is Chinese steel, and it's generally regarded as being lower quality than AUS 8 steel, but it's actually performed better for me than AUS 8 steel. I haven't thought about sharpening it really since I got it with its factory grind, although with my SOG knives, I've noticed these things dull out like it's no one's business. This is AUS 8 steel, by the way. I'll do a review on this probably today, if I can, considering I have had this knife longer than I've had this knife. Not by much, but I have. And I guess the last thing I can talk about is the overall feel in the hand. It is comfortable, and that's not because it has any molded finger grips, although it does have a small choil here, but my fingers don't even fit in with that. It is a small knife overall, coming in at, let's say, about 7 inches long open, and the blade is about 3 inches, 3.5 inches long. So when you're holding it, it's kind of too small for my hand. My index finger really grinds up against these really aggressive jimpings right here on the flipper, and they really dig into that, and then my pinky finger, the back of my hand, digs into this hook right here in the handle design, and I get a really good purchase. Although my thumb on top kind of slides around. There is jimping up on here, but as you can see, it wraps underneath and actually inside around the back of the tang of the blade, and this jimping is worthless. I mean, here's the G10, and then there's the jimping, and it doesn't really make a difference in traction at all. But you can really ride your thumb up on top of here, and with the lock system and the liner, I'm not worried about it closing on my fingers. And even if it did, this flipper would dig into my index finger and not be able to close anyway. So your hand is kind of acting as a third lock system on this knife. Overall, this is a great EDC knife for under $50 at most places. I highly recommend it. I've been using the heck out of it, and this is actually my preferred EDC since it is so much lower profile than the SOG Flash 2, which is an assisted opening. I really like the flipper design and the pocket clip, although it is not low carrying. It's discreet enough. You're going to see that part of the knife in your pants. And hope you guys enjoyed the review. I enjoyed making it. CRKT M16, great little knife for the money. This has been Beat with 16A. Subscribe if you want, leave a like. Bye.